So, out for the last ride with the green monster, the green devil. It's dirty, as you can see, because the roads are really dirty, so this will be the final ride for the year. So this is what it looks like right now. It's green and black. There will be some changes, but not a whole lot visually. Most of it will be new chain, a new sprocket, full service on the forks, and a valve tuning on the engine, plus service. That's pretty much gonna be it. At least that's all that I have planned. It could potentially be more, but I don't think so. I'm gonna stick to the simple, necessary things. The whole point of getting this specific bike was that I wanted a cheaper bike than what I had. And if I start throwing a lot of money at it, I may as well just kept what I had. So, yep. No longer having a garage for storage means that I don't want a bike that looks too good, because it's gonna be a little too tempting for some people to steal or wreck or do other stuff. Let me give you a little bit of a sound test here. It says ZXR, but I don't think these are of great quality, because look at this. And that's the good one. If you take a look at the clutch lever, this entire thing is completely loose. And it's probably because those are not supposed to be on it. So, audio check. Acceptable. It's fun levels of noise. It's not too much, but it's enough to really have fun. I gotta put down the visor. The sun visor. I'm hoping you can see. This thing is a very dirty mess, so I don't know if you can see it through it. I'm hoping you can. Maybe not now that the sun is in the way here, but the sun's not going to be up for a whole lot longer. So this bike is sprocketed down, so it has a little bit more power and a little bit less top speed. Or it doesn't have more power, it has more acceleration but a little less top speed. So yeah, it's gonna run a little high in the revs in 6th gear. I wish you could just make the 6th gear longer and everything else shorter, because that would be ideal, but you can't, so I'm just gonna have to live with this a little bit high revs. Not too bad here, but when you get to the freeway or highways, it's like 6,000 RPMs on the freeway. Riding like that for extended time, it's unnecessary. You know, it's you use more fuel, the engine is more stressed. There's just no need to cruise at 6,000 RPM. So there's absolutely no aids on this bike. There's no ABS, there's no traction control, nothing lean sensitive, no modes, no nothing. It's a bare bones, hardcore sport bike. This is the exact kind of bike you shouldn't start on. If you have to start on a leader bike, sport bike, this is exactly what you want to stay away from. The power is always there. Well, not in very, very low RPMs, of course, but it's not like you can, if it's like raining or something, you can't turn down the power, you can't put on traction control to save you. You literally always have to be careful, and I have had a lot of rear wheel slips on this bike already, accelerating, because it's cold and these tires, it's the Bridgestone S22s, so the tire itself, very good, but I'm pretty sure these tires have been in the sun for 2 years, because they are not as good as the one I had on the Z1000SX. On top of that, they're covered in dirt, so yeah. The S22 has tendency to gather more dust and debris in the tire itself than the Metzler tires did. So one of the reasons I would prefer Metzlers, that and puncture resistance and more stability, less movement. Which in my opinion gives better feedback. These tires, some people say they give great feedback. I think they move too much and it kind of blocks some of the feedback. When you can feel the bike moving, you can feel what the ground is doing or the road is doing. Anyways, this is a end of the season video. So yeah. It's November 11th. Right now it's about 8-9 degrees. The sun is coming down, so it's gonna get a lot colder very soon. And although the weather isn't horrible in the near future, they have salted so much. You can see the road is white. That's salt. So right now I'm breathing the salt. The bike is covering in salt, so I'm going to go home and I'm going to wash the bike. First there's high pressure water to get off the worst. Like, I just spray it from the front and back. Don't spray it from the side, not spraying it from the back, because the bike isn't designed to be wet from the back. So I'm just going to spray off the dirt in the natural directions water would come. If you ride, you're supposed to be able to ride this like at 300 kilometers an hour in the rain, so it can take high powered, high pressure water from the front, but you're never supposed to go sideways 300 kilometers an hour, so you can't really use high pressure water from the sides. It's not designed for that. So I'm not really sold on the brakes on this bike. I think the pads are bad. They're not worn, but they don't have a lot of grip. I personally don't like it. I don't feel like they're... I know I can pull hard enough to stop the front wheel or just lock the front wheel up, but I don't feel like they're biting a whole lot. And I kind of like it when they instantly bite. So I'm probably going to switch out the pads. It's a very cheap upgrade. That's like, what, 50 bucks for a couple of double H sintered brake pads. And that's an upgrade that's fine for the track too. I do plan on doing some track days next year. And I'm gonna probably be doing it with some people, so I won't be filming a whole lot of it if I even am allowed to bring a camera to the track. That's quite possible I'm not allowed to do that either. I think they are coming down pretty hard on cameras on tracks because people push themselves a little too hard because they're filming and they want to show off. I know that Nürburgring, the what's it called? The one that every normal people can ride. Nordschleife or something. Nordschleife. Anyways, that one, they have banned cameras, so you're not allowed to have any kind of recording while riding. How they keep this up, of course, that's something else. If you smuggle in the camera, who's gonna know? But if you put it out on the internet, they're gonna come after you, I guess. At least it's not supposed to be legal anymore. But what they actually do may be different. I haven't seen a lot of video from the Nürburgring lately, so that's quite possible. Yeah, so this is this good bike. I mean, obviously you can get better bikes. Obviously, it's old. The horsepower on this thing, supposedly 188. There's no way in hell this bike has 188 horsepower. This is a 2009 model, but it's a registered in 2011 model. So technically it's 10 years old. And a bike that's 10 years old doesn't have the same power that it had for like 10 years back. Things wear down. You're gonna lose some performance. Not a whole lot. I'm not talking about like it's dropping like 100 horsepower or something, but it's probably around 140, 150. Which still is a lot more than I had. The C1000SX supposedly had 142 horsepower, but every time I saw someone actually bench that thing, they did like 120. And yeah, so you never really get the numbers you're supposed to get. I'm a little scared that this would happen. Water. This is a 80 zone, but with the potential of water and salt and gravel and everything else. I'm done with kneeing down and stuff. I did the final knee down on November the 2nd. That was the final time my knee touched. This corner I am really skeptical about. This is one of those where it could easily be a lot of diesel fuel spilled, and it's wet and it's cold and it's salted, and yeah, careful, very careful. Still an 80 zone, so I'm the one holding back traffic, but there's no one behind me, so I don't care. What I can tell you is that this bike is really fast when you get it up in the green zone. You can probably see that this has a green zone on the rev counter there. So it's a 50 zone. And once you hit the green, that's when things starts to happen. Which is, I mean, some people don't like it. I think it's kind of cool, because when you hit that green, you just know shit's about to go down. And you gotta be careful. Also, it has one of those shifting lights that I've set to blink at like 12,000 RPM. Well, it was at 11.5. I think I have it at 11,500. So that I will have time to react before it actually hits the rev limiter. So the power, I'm gonna give you the 6th gear. 2000 RPMs, full throttle. As you can see, there's not a whole lot up to at least close to the green. When you get to the green, you start getting some power, but still nothing crazy. I mean, the crazy power is like 8,000, maybe 9,000. That's when the real power really hits. That's the top power band. It's like 9-10,000 to 13. So, but definitely enough power. For the thing is, if you're doing like 6th gear like I'm doing now, very rarely are you doing full acceleration in 2000 RPMs in 6th gear to get out of something. If you're doing 2000 RPMs in 6th gear, then you're just cruising and you don't need the power at that point. If you really want to go, then you click down a few gears and then you have more power. So I like it that it doesn't have a whole lot of power at low RPM, because if you're going city riding, just keep it at a high gear and you have an automatic mode button where everything is smoother and everything is cleaner, and you don't have to worry about too much power and slipping on rails. If you have rails in your city, we have, I can't remember the name of that thing in English, sort of train thing that goes slow. There's a name for it, I can't remember. So it's agile, of course. As expected, it's a sport bike. When this bike came out, it was praised for being, at the moment, it came out in 2008. From what I've seen of reviews, they all said this is the fastest bike on the track. And then of course there was other bikes that came out later in, I don't know if they came in 2008 or if they came in 2009, but I know there were other bikes pretty close to this one that came out and just was better. So it's not the best bike you can buy from early or from 2010, but from 2008 this is as fast as it gets. If you're thinking about a bike from earlier than 2008, then this will probably be faster than that too, as it was the fastest in 2008. It has some sort of traction control system, engine traction control thing. From what I've gathered, no one has ever actually felt that do anything, and I have never been to a track, so I of course haven't had the opportunity to test that out myself. I have had a lot of rear wheel slippage, especially when it's wet now, and from what I can gather, there is no traction control whatsoever. If there is, I can't feel it. So I've had traction control cut in often enough to know what traction control feels like, but the engine traction control thing I can't feel. So I don't know how much longer I can film, because it's getting darker, and I don't know how well you'll be able to see in the dark, because the headlights on this bike are as old as the bike, and obviously in 2008 headlights wasn't exactly LED or halogen. It's the old light bulb technology, so barely works. The sun has been up for, I don't know, at least 5 hours today, and it's blue skies today. Perfect riding weather, really beautiful, really nice, but cold. So I got my heated gloves, of course. With them on, I can't really feel the cold in my hands, and I've got my wind jacket, well, actually old bike jacket, just removed the protection, and now it's a wind jacket. And I'm using my summer gear. If anyone's wondering what I'm riding with the exact same gear I ride at summer, except I have long underwear on, or whatever you call that. You have under when going out in the cold. I have that under my pants, under the leathers, and I have this jacket on top. Other than that, it's the same stuff that I ride with in summer. Of course, I have an extra fleece on the inside of my wind buffer to prevent getting cold neck. You don't want to have your neck get cold. That'll do a lot of bad things, including getting sick and tightening up and getting not dehydrated, hypothermia. You don't want cold blood to go to your brain. That's never good. So general, just add that fleece, long underwear, and a wind jacket, and you can ride pretty much down to like 2 to 4 degrees. It's fine if it's not too high of a moisture percentage. I was out riding with my dad and a buddy yesterday, and on the way back it was 4 degrees and it felt super cold, and that's because it was foggy and a lot of moisture in the air, and that makes the temperature feel so much worse. I think the guy in front of me should change his tires. They look a little worn. I also have to oil the pegs, because every time I even touch them, if I barely touch them, they'll start squeaking. So they need a good clean and a good oiling, or whatever you do with pegs. I'm not sure if you oil them or if you grease them or what you do. Fit wise, this bike fits me like a glove. I mean, this is probably the best seating that I have had on any bike ever. It is as if it's been molded to someone exactly my size. So I have so much grip with my legs on the tank, and of course there's a lot of grip pads on it on top of that, so my legs are just stuck, which feels really nice when you're braking and accelerating. It's just stuck on the bike. You're not gonna fall off. I don't slide back, I don't slide forward. I'm just completely just on the bike, almost as if I'm just bolted on, which makes you feel faster. It makes you feel like you're part of the bike. It's a little bit heavier to steer than I thought it would be, but some feedback from other people in my riding group says that bikes of this age, from like early 2000s, they are just heavier for some reason. The way they set up the rake and trail and distance between the wheels, everything just made the bikes a little heavy to move. Extremely stable in the straights though, which is a good thing. Mirrors, I like them. They work. They're not as good as the Z1000SX. Those have the best mirrors ever. They have the blinkers on the stem of the mirrors. That's interesting. These one have the sport ones. That's a lot smaller, and I think they're LED. But yeah, I would have preferred like normal side blinkers, because you can change them out for smaller ones. But I mean, they're not in the way, so it's fine. I'm not complaining. It's not the prettiest bike in the world. I do think it's a cool looking bike. I give it like a 7 out of 10. But I don't quite like the headlights. I don't quite like the tail part. Mirrors are iffy. They're not as cool as a lot of mirrors from other bikes at the same time. The blinkers on the mirror thing, I get it. For you're going track riding, you take off the mirrors and you also take off the blinkers, but I don't think they look that good. Other than that, I think the bike looks great. Nothing else to complain about. I think they did a great job both making and designing this bike, and they should get credit for doing a good job. So riding to the sunset here. The windshield, I have another windshield that's a little lower and totally blacked out, which looks a lot cooler. But for early and late season riding, this one is great. And people tell me this is great for track riding too, because you can really get under the air with this double bubble thing. I would have made it or bought it in a little bit of a tinted version though, a little blacked, because it looks the completely clear one just looks so not cool. I don't know. Should do a little brake test for you just to show off. I think there's no one behind me. Nope, there's a long way back. It's gonna be an 80 zone pretty close up ahead here. If the camera keeps rolling, I'll give you a little test. See the water on the road again. A lot of water on the road. Is not good. The problem isn't just that the water on the road is slippery, but the tires are covered in dust and salt and other crap that has just hardened on the tire. This happens every year, but it's worse on the S22s than it is on most other tires, because the tire is so sticky and it's sort of softer, so it just lets more stuff into the tire. So I'm gonna be real careful in the corners, especially when it's wet. See if I can I think it's a good brake test down after this corner. So I'm going to give it a little bit of a squeeze. I'm not going to push any limits because it's wet here. Yeah. So, yeah. They do brake pretty well. It's just, they're soft. It feels like I'm not getting the... I'm not going to say traction. It doesn't feel like the pads are really gripping well. It could be that the... rotor is worn down. It could be that the pads are old and not great quality. It could be a lot of things, but in general they're not braking that great. They're soft. They're like typical stock non-sport brakes. If I was to guess, I would guess he has put on a completely normal everyday street riding set of pads, and that's gonna be less than optimal for a bike like this. You want instant pressure. You want to have good solid bite on a bike like this, especially if you're going on track. Now with the bike came a lot of extras, and amongst those extras are, instead of double H sintered, I can't remember the name, ECB or ECT or something like that, ECS, something like that. They're the super known brand, known for their double H sintered brakes. So they're good brakes, or pads, no issues there.